Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Call of Duty Vanguard. Quite possibly, in all honesty, the final World War II themed Call of Duty game. They may do it again like 10 years from now, assuming the series makes it that long, which is not too far-fetched to really think about because, you know, Call of Duty itself started in 2003. It's about to be 20 years old next year. That's pretty insane if you think about it. Well, the other day, Activision held their Q2 investors report, where basically they talk to their shareholders, they give a bunch of facts and figures about the franchise, they tease a little bit about the upcoming games, and basically it's their way of saying, shareholders, we're doing great, don't worry about the allegations, we're making lots of money, keep giving us money. That's basically like what the investors report is. And in there, we got some really interesting information. So it turns out, this may sound a little bit confusing at first, but I'll put some stuff on screen. It turns out that Call of Duty Vanguard and Warzone from January of 2022 to June of 2022 made $466 million less dollars than Cold War and Warzone did in the same time period the year before. Now, mind you, this is also coinciding with the release of a brand new map. You would think with a brand new Warzone map that it would revitalize interest in the game, that people would be like jumping on board. But no, they put out a new game, they put out a new Warzone map, and they ended up making almost $500 million less dollars as compared to the previous one. And there's one thing that we've learned, Activision, when something isn't selling, they're pretty much done with it, right? They're going to go right on to the next thing. They're going to go with what works, especially if they're losing that much money in that short period of a time. We're talking like almost, I mean, I'm rounding here, but like almost $100 million a month they were losing compared to what they did the previous year. And I think a big part of it is the fact that World War II does not sell as much as something like a modern game. I think Modern Warfare 2 is going to sell ridiculously well. Modern Warfare is like the game for so many people. And then with Warzone 2, obviously that's going to be pretty big. We'll have to see how the map plays out, I suppose. People tend to like the theme and the setting a bit more. Obviously, that's anecdotal, but I feel as though people are going to like the map and the theme a little bit more with a modern setting. But man, if it's not like Verdansk, which I didn't even like Verdansk, but apparently lots of people did. So if the map isn't like that and it doesn't suck people in the same way that the original Warzone did, which is eventually going to be called Warzone Legacy, Activision's going to be finding themselves in a pretty interesting place. And the Call of Duty scene as a whole is going to be in a pretty interesting place because Call of Duty Vanguard, I think it's safe to say, by COD standards, which is still way higher than most other games out there, but by COD standards, World War II games are not cutting it anymore. And that really sucks because I love the theme. I love the setting. I love the history, you know. In the past, oh God, make me do math here, 14 years? Yeah, in the last 14 games, only 3 games have been World War II. We had World at War. 10 years later, we had Call of Duty World War II in 2018. And then now, of course, we have Call of Duty Vanguard. I would say each game is like less successful than the previous one. Now, obviously, like Call of Duty World War II ended up selling better and making more money than World at War because World at War was like when Call of Duty was during its infantile stages. But in terms of player retention, audience retention, people actually being invested in the game itself, it seems like the World War II theme has gone down and down and down. It seems like as this generation gets older, they're not nearly as interested in that time period. But also you can say that the changes they've made fundamentally towards the game are what's also putting people off. I mean, you look at the stuff we had in Call of Duty World War II, we had a headquarters, we had so many earnable weapons, we had so many earnable weapon variants, we had amazing events, we had all sorts of stuff to do. And then in Vanguard, we get a Shinonuma remake 8 months in. and the watches still don't work. I bitch about that every time, but like your watches still clip into your character. Like the kill streaks themselves are boring as shit. You have skill-based matchmaking being as heavy as ever. You have things like the counter UAV countering all sorts of stuff. Apparently they fixed it so the counter UAV doesn't actually counter the V2 rocket anymore, but it counters everything else. Like the game design is ridiculous. The 70 weapon levels, most of the attachments sucking, weapon balance being out of the window, not updating the game. You look back at Vanguard, man, how long was Sledgehammer on vacation? Back when every single map was on fire. I was making videos. I still have the footage of it. I was making videos showing that there was so much fire on the shipment maps because everyone was throwing thermite. Eventually, if there was enough fire rendering in the game at one point, it would just end the game and crash it. And that happened frequently.
It's unplayable. No, we need sacrifices. We need sacrifices. I hope somebody has a fucking, like, really bad, like, reaction to this. I hope their brain melts. And then they sue. I hope they sue Sledgehammer because Sledgehammer let this happen.
And they continue to let it happen by not fixing it.
They're on vacation.
Like, there were so many issues and problems with Vanguard. It's like they released the game half-baked, and then they just went on vacation and said, not our problem anymore. I don't know if that sound effect actually went over the mic, but whatever. I tried to wipe my hands of it the same way that Sledgehammer Games did with Call of Duty Vanguard, and I think the proof is in the pudding here, in the results that we have, where Vanguard and even Warzone, which is like Activision's cash cow, makes $500 million less dollars compared to Cold War and Warzone. And there's definitely a lot of things we could point to. Like, I think a game like Cold War is a bit more, shall I say, interesting to the average player. Like, 1980s stuff is still cool. It's still in. 1940s stuff, maybe not so much for the average, 20-something-year-old out there. Maybe that's possibly it. If you look back at it, though, when we had Warzone with Black Ops Cold War, at the very least, we still had the Verdansk map and Rebirth Island, and people were enjoying that. Like, there's so many things you could point at here as to why Vanguard made so much less money than a game like Cold War, when in reality, Cold War wasn't even that much of a banger of a game. Like, I think the multiplayer was actually good. The no-flinch snipers, don't get me started on the no-flinch snipers, but I think at its core, like, the game was actually good. I enjoyed the theme. I enjoyed the aesthetics so much. Like, I thought it was a good game. But, the lack of updates, lack of support, and we find ourselves in pretty much the exact same situation with Call of Duty Vanguard. And now we're going into Modern Warfare 2, and they claim it's going to be a 2-year game. We're going to get some sort of paid premium content in 2023. I have to wonder, man, how's it going to play out? They're seeing this happen, man. Like, Cold War made less money than Modern Warfare. Vanguard made less money than Cold War. Like, they're dipping down here every single year. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And maybe that's why they're going with this whole, Call of Duty 2.0, they're calling it, with Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare for 2 years. Like, maybe it could be good. Maybe it's going to be like the beginning of a new golden age of the COD franchise. Maybe it's going to be a new banger of a game. But I'm not holding my breath. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out. But yeah, Activision's losing money. Obviously, they're still doing very well as a company. Obviously, Call of Duty is still ridiculously popular compared to other games, so on and so forth. Disclaimers here. But you guys see what I mean. Yeah, when they're losing money like that, they tend to make some drastic changes. And perhaps when they're talking about the idea of like Vanguard and Warzone, like they get their money from the initial release, the game is out for 2 or 3 months, and then they start tracking from January up to June, the first 6 months of the year, and they made a lot less money this time around. And perhaps that is kind of like the catalyst that kind of made them decide that, you know what, we need paid premium content to come out later on in the game's life cycle besides just shop bundles. And maybe that's why they're going to be going with that idea with Modern Warfare 2. As of right now, we don't know exactly what it's going to be. It could be, add-ons to DMZ. It could be story mode campaign add-ons, which is something I feel as though they probably should do for the people that really care about that kind of stuff. You look at multiplayer, they might be returning to season passes and map packs. We don't know. We have no clue right now, but as always, I will keep you guys posted as the story develops and as we learn more. But Activision's, they're hurting a little bit right now, and the next couple weeks, next couple months are definitely going to be very interesting to see how they're going to handle this. But guys, that's all for this video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.